my name is Abby Rowan, and I read the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and it was published in 1852. I read this entire book, cover to cover, every word on every page. Uncle Tom's Cabin follows the troubles and tribulations of Uncle Tom, who is an enslaved man, and all of the people that he comes in contact with along the way. And throughout his adventure, or whatever you want to call it, he meets all kinds of different people, some evil, some mean, some nice, some very Christian-like, some who are faithful. And through all these times that he is sold, he always remains faithful to his God. I really did like the book because of Uncle Tom's hope and his faith, no matter what happened, no matter the treatment he was undergoing, the harsh words, the hard times, he still remained faithful, encouraging, and hopeful to not only himself, but he also encouraged other people to be this way, no matter what they were going through. However, I do think that this book was a real, tearjerker. There were some times that would make me smile if, people were nice, or there were other times that I would actually tear up from the harsh words and the treatment that Uncle Tom and other slaves in the story went through. But I also did like that it showed that there weren't just bad slave owners, that there were good slave owners. I mean, even though they had slaves, and yes, that's wrong, there were still people that treated them with respect and taught them how to read, taught them how to write. And I really liked that it showed this aspect of slavery, not just the harsh, which was most of slavery was harsh, but it did show that not all of it was like that. And it wasn't really hard for me to read, but it did take me a couple of chapters to get used to some of the slang that they used. For example, they used the word ain't a lot, but they didn't spell it how we would spell it. They spelled it A-N apostrophe T. But it took me a while to be able to read that without having to process what it was saying, read it fluently. I identified the theme as the evil of slavery. And when I decided to read this book, I quickly picked up on that it was going to be about slavery and the harsh environment and the harsh treatment that they received. So after reading a few chapters, I automatically went to the course of study to try to find standards that would be based around slavery. That way I could figure out what would be appropriate. I picked out a few from there, and then I also did my research on what grade levels this would be appropriate for. And it ranges from 4th grade to 9th grade. And I did want to keep it elementary, so I ended up finding the perfect standard for this after I finished the book, and it's 4th grade. And it's number 6. It says, describe cultural, economic, and political aspects of the lifestyles of early 19th century farmers, plantation owners, slaves, and townspeople. And I think that I would really like to use this if I used it in my classroom. I would like to use this book and this lesson before I taught about the Civil War. And I say this because the Civil War is obviously ended slavery, and this shows before that and what was leading up to it, how slavery was leading up to the Civil War. So I think that this would give them a good aspect of what was happening during that time before the Civil War. I think that after we did a lesson on, or we read the book, I think I would do something along the lines of a book review, or I really like the idea of doing something on the characters themselves and their feelings throughout the stories. Each character obviously Uncle Tom, and then there's a few other characters that are slaves and the owners, because I really think that this would give the students a perspective of where everyone in the story is coming from, not just one person. Um, I did really like the book, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is interested in history a lot. I'm not a huge history fan. It's just been the most difficult subject for me throughout school. So, but I liked it, and so I'm thinking that if someone is a really like a history bug, that they would really enjoy this book, especially if they like learning about stuff around the Civil War and what was actually happening during the moments of slavery. So, thank you so much for listening.